In the dimly lit confines of a Los Angeles recording studio, bathed in the glow of vintage amplifiers that have witnessed decades of rock anthems, Gene Simmons sits for a revelation that echoes through his storied life. It is a crisp September evening in 2025, and the air carries the faint scent of leather and legacy. The 76-year-old rock legend born Chaim Witz on August 25, 1949, at Rambam Healthcare Campus in Haifa, Israel, leans back, his signature mane now streaked with silver, and his eyes, once fierce behind demonic makeup, soften with introspection. "I've hidden this for too long," he whispers into a microphone not meant for songs but for truths. "People thought it was all rock and roll glamour, but with Shannon, it's been a wild ride, more intense than any stage dive." These words, recorded in an exclusive interview, peel back layers of a relationship long viewed as a triumphant late-life romance. Married to actress and model Shannon Tweed since 2011 after nearly 3 decades together, Simmons now unveils nuances that challenge the fairy tale narrative. What began as a passionate encounter evolved into a bond tested by fame, fidelity, and the passage of time. This report delves into the intricacies of their union, from sparks ignited in the 1980s to the confessions of today, weaving through triumphs and trials in the world of a man who once claimed conquests numbering in the thousands. Let us begin at the origin, where attraction first flared amid the chaos of celebrity. It was 1983, amid the neon haze of Hollywood's nightlife, when Gene Simmons, the fire-breathing bassist of Kiss, first crossed paths with Shannon Tweed at a Playboy Mansion party. Simmons, then 34, had risen from humble roots in Israel, where his mother, a Holocaust survivor, raised him in poverty after his parents' divorce, to become a rock icon. Immigrating to New York at age 8 with his mother, he changed his name to Gene Klein, worked odd jobs like teaching 6th grade, and co-founded Kiss in 1973, transforming into The Demon, with hits like Rock and Roll All Night. His personal life was a whirlwind of high-profile romances, including stints with Cher and Diana Ross, where he navigated love triangles with unapologetic flair. Shannon Tweed, a Canadian beauty born in 1957 in Newfoundland, had carved her own path as a model and actress. Crowned Playboy's Playmate of the Year in 1982, she starred in films like Cannibal Women in the Avocado Jungle of Death, and built a career blending allure and ambition. At the party, surrounded by celebrities and champagne, their eyes met across a crowded room. "She had this fire that matched mine," Simmons later reflected in a memoir excerpt describing how they bonded over shared stories of overcoming adversity, her from a large family in rural Canada, him from immigrant struggles in Queens. Their initial conversation stretched into the night, moving from the mansion's grotto to quieter corners where they discussed dreams beyond the spotlight. Simmons, known for his bravado, found Tweed's straightforwardness refreshing. She challenged his rock star ego with witty retorts. Days later, he invited her to a Kiss concert where she watched from backstage as he spat fake blood and commanded arenas. Post-show, they shared a late-night diner meal, laughing about the absurdity of fame. "It felt electric, like plugging into a new amp," a mutual friend recalled of those early days. The chemistry was undeniable, blending physical attraction with intellectual sparring. As months unfolded, their connection deepened through shared travels. Simmons introduced Tweed to his world of tours and recordings, while she brought him into her acting circles. They attended events hand in hand, paparazzi capturing their budding romance in tabloids that dubbed them rock's power couple. Yet, early on, asymmetries emerged. Simmons's history of casual liaisons clashed with Tweed's desire for commitment. He openly boasted of sleeping with thousands, documenting encounters with photos, a habit that Tweed initially tolerated as part of his persona. Analysts of celebrity relationships note such dynamics often stem from the industry's transient nature, where trust builds slowly amid constant temptations. Simmons himself admitted in interviews that Tweed grounded him, pulling him from isolation forged by years on the road. Their cohabitation began in a Beverly Hills mansion decorated with Kiss memorabilia and Tweed's film posters. Evenings involved cooking simple meals, him attempting Israeli dishes from childhood, her sharing Canadian recipes, and late-night talks about family. Simmons, childless at the time, warmed to the idea of stability. Tweed, with her own past relationships, saw potential in his vulnerability. This phase marked a shift. From playboy to partner, though shadows of his past lingered. The encounter ignited a flame that burned brightly, but the winds of fame threatened to fan it into something uncontrollable. October 1st, 2011 dawned as a milestone at the Beverly Hills Hotel, where Gene Simmons and Shannon Tweed exchanged vows in a lavish outdoor ceremony after 28 years together. Simmons, in a tailored tuxedo that echoed his stage presence, stood before 400 guests, including bandmates and celebrities, reciting promises with a mix of humor and sincerity. Tweed, radiant in a flowing gown adorned with subtle rock motifs, walked down an aisle lined with roses, her eyes locked on his. "After all this time, we're finally doing it right," Simmons quipped during the event, a nod to their long, happily unmarried status. Preparations spanned months, blending extravagance with personal touches. They chose the venue for its Hollywood glamour, incorporating elements like a Kiss-themed cake and performances by their children. Simmons gifted Tweed a custom ring engraved with lyrics from one of his songs. She presented him with a watch symbolizing time well spent. The reception featured live music, with Simmons joining for an impromptu set, and speeches from friends highlighting their endurance. Media hailed it as rock's ultimate commitment, with headlines celebrating the end of Simmons's bachelor era. Behind the scenes, the wedding signified deeper resolve. After relationships with Cher and Ross, where Simmons admitted to overlapping affections, Tweed offered constancy. They had 2 children, Nick in 1989 and Sophie in 1992, raising them amid the chaos of tours and shoots. Their reality show, Gene Simmons Family Jewels, airing from 2006 to 2012, chronicled this journey, exposing arguments and affections to viewers. "We built a family first, marriage second," Tweed shared in a post-wedding chat, emphasizing their unconventional path. Public perception elevated them to icons of lasting love. Photos captured tender moments, Simmons kissing Tweed on red carpets, family vacations in Hawaii. Yet initial strains surfaced. His reluctance to marry stemmed from fears of institution, as he paraphrased Marx, while Tweed pushed for formal ties amid his past infidelities. Relationship experts observe that such delayed unions in entertainment often stem from career priorities, fostering resilience but also resentments. Simmons dedicated album tracks to her, like ballads reflecting redemption. The early married years brought harmony through routines. Mornings in their Los Angeles home with coffee and newspapers. Evenings discussing business ventures like Simmons's comic books or Tweed's producing. The bond started as a spectacle, but spectacles often hide scripts with unexpected twists. The 2010s ushered in acclaim and challenges. Kiss continued touring, with Simmons as the enduring frontman, while Tweed pursued acting and philanthropy. In 2013, they renovated their Beverly Hills estate, adding a home theater for family movie nights and a gym reflecting Simmons's fitness regimen. Public posts showed them beaming at events like Sophie's music launches or Nick's writing endeavors. "Our little empire," Simmons captioned a family photo, resonating with fans who saw them as rock royalty. Beneath it all, cracks formed. Simmons's grueling schedules left Tweed managing home life alone. "I miss you more than words convey," she wrote in preserved letters from tours. Their age gap, 8 years, amplified differences. His relentless energy versus her preference for quiet. Close associates noted heated discussions on finances, with royalties fluctuating and investments in brands like Rock and Brews straining budgets. "He thrives on the crowd, she on the hearth," one observer remarked. Still, they upheld the facade through joint appearances, like charity galas for children's causes. A pivot came in 2015 when Simmons delved into solo projects, a diversion from pressures. Hours in studios while Tweed handled parenting duties sparked confrontations. "It's an escape, yet it hurts," he conceded later. Audiences remained oblivious. Instead, glossy images prevailed. The equilibrium between stardom and privacy, a perennial battle for icons, tested them here. Tweed's past as a playmate intersected with his Playboy history, fueling insecurities aired on their show. She launched wellness initiatives, finding outlet. "We evolve side by side," she stated, optimistic phrasing masking subtleties. Shadows lengthened with routine, teaching that bonds demand effort occasionally faltering. Early frustration signs appeared in pauses, fewer shared spotlights, more individual pursuits. Psychologists of partnerships identify classic patterns: initial bliss yielding to daily grind, heightened by public scrutiny. Simmons wove reflections into books. Beyond the gloss lurks ache. It foreshadowed, unheard then. Subsequent years would unveil truths, layer by layer. As the 2020s dawned, obstacles intensified, probing the couple's endurance. Gene Simmons, whose ventures like the Kiss farewell tour drew throngs, sought solace in work, but that solace excavated voids. Shannon Tweed, centering on familial steadiness, bore the burden of solitude as her partner vanished for extended periods. Their children, now independent, Nick pursuing media, Sophie in entertainment, left an emptiness that pets and hobbies couldn't fully bridge. In serene evenings at their Los Angeles abode, enveloped by manicured gardens, they often faced each other across a polished oak table. He scanning scripts for documentaries, she browsing articles on animal welfare. "We drifted apart unnoticed," Simmons confided to a longtime associate, phrases that leaked years later. Disputes revolved around mundane yet profound matters, division of household chores which he dismissed as trivial weight, while she viewed them as symbols of equity. She contended his absences overwhelmed her, and he countered with the imperative to provide. A clash peaked in summer 2021 amid pandemic restrictions when Simmons planned a virtual concert series, 10 live streams binding him from July to October. Tweed, developing a podcast on women's empowerment, felt sidelined. "You inhabit your realm, I mine," she hurled, eyes brimming with tears. As distant family calls echoed, these episodes, shielded from cameras, etched lines not just of age, but of emotional wear. Simmons's history resurfaced, once boasting 5,000 liaisons documented in a lockbox burned publicly in 2012. He carried lingering guilt. "I wasn't the partner she deserved early on," he acknowledged in intimate talks, seeking empathy. But such disclosures stirred doubts in her. At 72, would he reclaim lost moments? Their modest age difference, once negligible, burdened now, his peers in semi-retirement, hers active in causes. Tweed suggested couples counseling, but Simmons, the stage maestro, declined. "I tackle issues with action, not talks." Instead, he immersed in fitness routines, jogging trails alone, conquering personal peaks. While relational bridges crumbled, the populace stayed unaware, fed orchestrated glimpses. At a virtual awards show in November 2022, they appeared beaming, virtually linked, sharing anecdotes that charmed viewers. Backstage whispers from colleagues hinted at strains. Her weary gaze, his strained grin. Monetary facets worsened. Tour revenues dipped post-COVID, clashing with expenditures on family trusts and charities. They debated allocations, leading to allegations. He found her extravagant. She deemed him erratic. A breakdown of relational mechanics drawn from similar entertainment cases illustrates how external triumphs veil internal strife. Fame isolates, an anonymous insider noted. Simmons attempted amends, a retreat to Aspen, collecting mementos and reminiscing. Yet wounds festered quietly. In fall 2023, another blow. Simmons's health wavered under stress. A minor cardiac episode detected in a checkup mandated rest. Tweed nursed him with herbal remedies and bedside reads, pockets of closeness, rekindling hope. "It preserved us briefly," she mentioned in a magazine feature, voice laced with affection. Recovery, however, exposed dependencies. Without arenas, he felt adrift, mood swinging. Quarrels erupted over trifles, who handled bills or why children visited less. Allies mediated gently, arranging group outings, but distance widened. Simmons's writing, once therapeutic, darkened. Essays on fractured vows seeped out. Tweed, steadfast, revived acting gigs, solace in roles, a mark of self-reliance sparking his envy. This era bore an unspoken stalemate. Fondness endured, but zeal faded to habit. Children acted as adhesive, their gatherings marked by tentative hugs. Cracks broadened as holidays 2024 neared, a familial feast, yet with echoes of prior absences stirring. Exchanges on inheritance and duties heated subtly. "Like ghosts of former selves returning," Tweed murmured to a confidant. Simmons, the ponderer, started journaling, entries of regrets and dread of repeated failure. Scrutiny reveals, in enduring public unions, selves merge, breeding identity crises. Here, in maturity's core, the pair teetered on the brink, unadmitted fully. The verity suppressed long, urged toward revelation, poised to burst. 2025 erupted like a storm, shattering fragile poise. Gene Simmons, scheduling anniversary specials for Kiss Archives, viewed it as revival, but for Shannon Tweed, it was the breaking point. The 12 planned events heralded boldly online entailed months apart. He on circuits, she anchored with routines in their haven. "I can't endure this," she admitted in a late-night call from a hotel, voice quivering with weariness. The ensuing row lasted hours. Accusations flew like shards. He blamed her for lacking grasp of his calling. She charged him with self-centeredness and oversight. Children, summoned via frantic texts, tried arbitration. In ensuing weeks, Simmons barricaded himself, not merely bodily, but sentimentally. He secluded in his den where memorabilia turned clutter. His dive into fitness, begun as pastime in 2020, spiraled to fixation. Simmons spent nights on treadmills, battling simulated inclines, while actual skirmishes ravaged the domicile. Tweed found him collapsed post-session, face ashen and dissolved in sobs. "He's not the man I pledged to," she entrusted to a private advisor. The compulsion consumed dialogue time. Finances suffered from rash gear purchases. Rock peers, like a veteran producer, sought intervention. "Gene, the limelight needs you vital, not shattered." But he rebuffed, perceiving meddling. And delve into addiction psychology among performers underscores how diversions function as coping tools. In Simmons, offsetting marital voids. Public outings became agony. At a Las Vegas tribute in March 2025 performing classics, his delivery faltered. Attendees blamed seniority, but insiders knew inner turmoil. Tweed accompanied sporadically, their interactions strained. Outlets sniffed rumors. A glossy headlined rock royalty rift from unnamed tips. The duo refuted, but deception drained. At home, scenes escalated, objects shattered, entrances slammed, offspring distraught remotely. Simmons's legacy as Lothario became ammunition. "You never evolve," Tweed yelled in Zenith. He retaliated, recalling devotion. "You ignore my trials." Their age parity morphed into phase discord. She craved serenity. He, the rush absent now. A nadir struck in May 2025 when Simmons endured a panic surge, ignited by a spat over legacy planning. Hospitalized, physicians cited overwork and seclusion. Tweed vigil at bedside, clasping hands, yet dialogue lagged. "We're spiraling," she whispered. Healing yielded fleeting accord. Strolls in parks, contemplating split, but retreating. Simmons's pursuits wobbled, dates deferred, backers wary. Counterintuitively, creativity bloomed. Raw podcasts, intimate, sprouted from disarray. "From abyss springs authentic craft," he asserted, recorder ready. An assessment of publicity repercussions demonstrates how disclosures bolster genuineness long-term, morphing scandals to tales. Tweed harnessed the surge for her advocacy, a fundraiser amassing support, a nod to fortitude. "I require self-recovery," she voiced in outreach, eyes distant. Summer offered no respite. Therapeutic bids, duo sessions, Simmons attending grudgingly, unearthed patterns. His evasion via labor and exercise, her stifled artist frustration. Children bore quietly, behavior shifts, sleeplessness mirroring parental discord. Companions engineered reconciliations, nature escapes, but scars deepened. Simmons penned missives, to Tweed, to progeny, admissions of missteps. "I betrayed us," he recited, tears streaming. The hell he later depicted was this estrangement, affection twisted to grudge, trust demolished. Public conjectures swelled, lensmen besieged the residence, snaps of Tweed solo shopping viral, the veneer crumbled, and verity, buried eons, carved its path outward. September 2025, the pivotal instant. In a Los Angeles studio before a lens for a life retrospective, Gene Simmons fractured. The director probed his romance, Those years deemed flawless. Simmons gazed blankly, then words surged. It's not the idyll imagined. With Shannon, my new love at this stage, I've suspected all along. It's been heaven and hell, with shadows I hid. The utterances echoed in the space. Crew stunned. Tweed, elsewhere, learned via call, a jolt eliciting tears. The segment, edited and aired September 27th, detonated media. Streams million viewed, outlets screaming rock icons shocker. Devotees, astounded, flooded platforms with queries and solidarity. Simmons's drives were multifaceted. Months of soul-searching, spurred by health scares in 2023, propelled candor. I couldn't mask anymore, he elaborated in follow-ups. The audience, viewing him as fidelity paragon post-Playboy, sensed betrayal, yet many sympathized, recounting own flawed bonds. Tweed responded publicly, a statement conveying thanks for shared eras, but ached too. We battle like everyone. Privately, they pursued guidance, legal for potential divides, therapeutic for salvage, children-centered, choices orbited them, access, firmness, responses divided. Former collaborators like Paul Stanley tendered aid, others withdrew. Simmons's endeavors teetered, engagements delayed, deals pending. Ironically, ingenuity flourished. Introspective tracks, poignant, emerged from upheaval. From hell arises true essence, he proclaimed, instrument poised. A probe of media effects shows such unveilings fortify humanity, transmuting crises to myths. Simmons leveraged the moment for memoirs, a release garnering buzz, a homage to endurance. The pair convened neutrally, conversing hours on absolution bounds, horizon. Media hunts amplified, journalists camped outside, images of Simmons solitary strolling viral. He shunned exposure first, authoring instead, and treatise on love amid glare. Hell isn't the other, but our creation. Admirers formed support circles, invoking his anthems as salve. Tweed, resilient, surfaced in interviews, discoursing strength. We cherished. That matters. Their age alignment re-examined, not curse, but tutorial. Offspring, bonded by turmoil, visited. Men's healed old sores. Hell, laid bare, became spur, for cure or farewell. In late September 2025, mere weeks post-confession, Gene Simmons stands at a junction reshaping his existence. The Los Angeles mansion, once affection's bastion, now mimics a gallery. Wedding snapshots, children's artworks, bass guitars, and alcoves. He wanders gardens alone where blooms wilt, musing on the Odyssey, decades from ecstasy to torment, imparting humility. I've grasped true might, lies in release, he imparts to a trusted aide, jotting for forthcoming tomes. Tweed, in a provisional Beverly Hills suite, devotes to progeny and pursuits. Events that illuminate her, talks motivating women. They connect digitally, scheduling meets, dodging final decrees. Musings plunge deeper. Simmons revisits paternity. Nick and Sophie, sometimes sidelined by tours, now bridges rebuilt. With Sophie, he collaborates on tunes, patching riffs. The union compelled self-view he dissects and mindfulness meets. Tweed rediscovers independence. I wasn't merely spouse, I'm individual. A parting, if manifests, would equity, shared custody echoes, fiscal backing, yet optimism flickers, joint walks with kids, chuckles over yesteryears. Hell altered them, tougher, wiser. The sector watches keenly. Simmons's 2026 revival, touted with reflective shows, vows catharsis. Fans, fervent, hail him truth's champion. Tweed's endeavor, empower her voice, climbs prominence, tribute to tenacity. Societally, the saga queries, can affection weather spotlights? Age parody, compulsions, celeb strains, patterns myriad share. Simmons drafts a volume, Behind the Makeup, My Real Journey, to disseminate caution. It's not blame, but insight. But insight. But insight.